The medical bay of the starship Etherin blazed with emergency lights, casting blood-red shadows across Dr. Marcus Webb's face as he sprinted through the corridors. His communicator crackled with the panicked voice of his Xyrillian assistant. "Dr. Webb, you need to get here now. Princess Zephyra's vital signs are failing. We've lost respiratory function completely." Marcus's heart hammered against his ribs as he burst through the medical bay doors. The scene before him was chaos. Medical staff swarming around the containment chamber where Princess Zephyra lay motionless, her luminous azure skin dimming like a dying star. The heir to the Xyrillian throne, the bridge between their species and humanity's first real hope for alliance in this sector of space, was dying, and Marcus had no idea how to save her. "What happened?" he demanded, shouldering past a frantic nurse to reach the diagnostic console. The readings made his blood run cold. Zero respiratory activity. Cardiac function at 12% and dropping, neural patterns fragmenting. "The pathogen," his assistant gasped. "The one from the Kelver system, it's mutated, bypassed every treatment protocol we have. Her immune system is shutting down completely." Marcus stared at the princess through the transparent barrier. She was beautiful even in dying, her skin the color of Earth's oceans, her hair a cascade of silver that seemed to hold captured starlight. Her features were delicate, almost human, save for the elegant ridges along her cheekbones and the faint geometric patterns that glowed beneath her skin. Patterns that were now barely visible. 3 months ago, she'd arrived on the Etherin as part of the diplomatic exchange, the first Xyrillian royal to ever trust herself to human protection. Marcus had been assigned as her personal physician, a role that had terrified him. The Xyrillians were a mystery. Their biology operated on principles human medicine barely understood. They breathed through a complex network of dermal membranes. Their blood carried oxygen through crystalline structures rather than hemoglobin, and their neural chemistry was so alien that conventional treatments were as likely to kill as cure. But in 3 months, Marcus had learned. More than that, he'd grown to admire her fierce intelligence, her curiosity about humanity, her terrible jokes about the differences between their species. She'd once spent an hour trying to explain Xyrillian humor to him, laughing until her skin patterns blazed bright enough to light the room. Now those patterns were going dark. "We've tried every antiviral, every immune booster in the xenobiology database," another doctor reported, desperation cracking his professional calm. "Nothing's working. Her physiology is too different. We're poisoning her as much as helping her." Marcus pulled up the pathogen analysis, his mind racing. The Kelver virus was a nightmare. It targeted the specific crystalline structures in Xyrillian blood, causing catastrophic system failure. On her homeworld, they'd have treatments, specialists, technology built specifically for her biology. But they were 3 weeks from the nearest Xyrillian outpost at maximum speed. She had minutes, maybe less. "There has to be something," Marcus muttered, scrolling frantically through medical databases. "Some treatment, some precedent. Dr. Webb." The voice was soft, resigned. He looked up to see Princess Zephyra's personal guard, a towering Xyrillian warrior named Kivon, standing at the containment barrier. "You should know, our people have a last resort, a desperate measure." "Tell me," Marcus said immediately. Kivon's own patterns flickered with what Marcus had learned was deep reluctance. "There is a bonding technique, ancient, rarely used." It allows one being to share life force with another to stabilize them long enough for their body to fight back. But it requires complete biological compatibility and physical contact. Intimate contact. What kind of contact? Touch, sustained, direct contact, skin to skin. The life force flows through neural pathways, through the energy that connects all living things. But Dr. Webb, Kivon's voice grew heavy. This has never been attempted between species. The biological differences could kill you both. And even if it works, you would be bound to her, connected. Her pain would be your pain, her death would take me with her, Marcus finished. He looked at Zephyra through the barrier, watched her chest fail to rise, saw the last dim flickers of light beneath her skin. But if I don't try, she dies anyway. Dr. Webb, you can't seriously be considering, his assistant began. Open the containment chamber, Marcus ordered, already stripping off his lab coat. Sir, you don't understand the Xyrillian biology well enough to. Then I'll learn fast. Marcus met Kivon's gaze. Tell me exactly what I need to do. The Xyrillian warrior's patterns flared with something that might have been respect. You must hold her, skin against skin, as much contact as possible. Clear your mind of everything except the will to live, the desire to share your strength. The bonding is not magic. It's a deep biological resonance, a synchronization of bioelectric fields. If your species is compatible, if your will is strong enough, your life force will flow into her. And if we're not compatible, then you both die, Kivon said bluntly, and the alliance between our peoples dies with you. Marcus barely heard him. He was already moving toward the containment chamber as it hissed open, already reaching for the woman who had somehow become more than just a patient to him over these 3 months. The woman whose laughter had brightened the sterile corridors of the ship, whose questions about Earth had made him see his own world through new eyes, whose trust in him had been absolute even when he'd fumbled treatments and made mistakes. The woman he'd fallen in love with, though he'd never admitted it to anyone, least of all himself. Until now, when she was taking what might be her last breath, Marcus stepped into the chamber. The air was thick with the ozone smell of Xyrillian biology in distress. He knelt beside her medical bed, his hands trembling as he reached for her. "Zephyra," he whispered, "I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm here, and I'm not letting you go." He placed his hand against her cheek. Her skin was cool, smoother than human skin, with a faint texture like the finest silk. The geometric patterns beneath the surface barely glowed, like embers about to die. Then he lowered himself onto the bed beside her, wrapping his arms around her, pressing his body against hers. Skin to skin, heart to heart, and he willed her to live. At first, nothing happened. Marcus held her, feeling how still she was, how absent the rise and fall of breath. Her body was failing, shutting down, and he was just a human doctor with no idea what he was doing. Then he felt it. A tingle starting where their skin touched, a warmth spreading from his chest into hers. His heartbeat seemed to grow louder, stronger, and he could swear he felt an answering rhythm from her, faint but there. The patterns under her skin flickered, responding to something. Marcus closed his eyes and pushed everything else away. The medical bay, the watching staff, his fear, his doubt, all of it faded until there was only Zephyra and the desperate need to keep her alive. He thought of her laughter, her curiosity, the way her eyes lit up when she learned something new about humanity. He thought of all the conversations they'd never have if she died, all the moments stolen by this pathogen. He poured everything into her. Every ounce of strength, every beat of his heart, every breath in his lungs. The warmth between them intensified. Marcus gasped as he felt something flowing out of him, not blood, not anything physical, but something essential. Life force, Kivon had called it. Energy, will, whatever it was leaving him and entering her, and it hurt. Pain lanced through his chest, a sympathetic echo of her failing systems. He felt her struggle, felt the pathogen eating away at her crystalline blood structures, felt her body trying and failing to fight back. The agony was overwhelming, like being burned from the inside out. Marcus held on tighter. "Come on," he whispered against her hair. "Fight, Zephyra, fight with me." The patterns under her skin flared suddenly, bright enough that he could see them through his closed eyelids. Her body jerked in his arms, and for a terrible moment he thought he'd hurt her, thought the bonding had failed. Then she gasped. It was a small sound, barely audible, but it was breath, actual breath. The dermal membranes that allowed Xyrillians to breathe activated, pulling in oxygen, and Marcus felt her chest expand against his. The medical monitors exploded with noise, vital signs stabilizing. Respiratory function returning, cardiac activity increasing. "It's working," someone shouted. "The bonding is working." Marcus barely heard them. He was lost in the connection now, feeling Zephyra's consciousness stirring, feeling her awareness returning. And with it came something else, a flood of emotions, memories, sensations that weren't his own. He saw himself through her eyes, saw the first time she'd met him, how nervous he'd been, how careful. Saw dozens of small moments he'd forgotten. A joke he'd made that had delighted her, a time he'd stayed late to explain human music, the day he'd brought her earth coffee and watched her face scrunch up in disgust before she'd politely finished it anyway. He felt what she'd felt, curiosity, respect, fondness that had deepened into something more. He felt her love for him as real and undeniable as his love for her. The realization staggered him. She'd felt it too. All this time, she'd felt it too. "Marcus," her voice was barely a whisper, ragged and weak, but the most beautiful sound he'd ever heard. Her eyes fluttered open, brilliant violet eyes that seemed to hold galaxies. "You're here." "I'm here," he said, his own voice thick with emotion. "I've got you." The bonding. Her hand moved weakly to touch his face, mirroring his hold on her. "You actually did it. You risked everything." "You're worth everything," Marcus said simply. Zephyra's eyes filled with tears, crystalline, luminescent tears that traced paths down her azure cheeks. "I felt you," she whispered. "Inside my mind, my heart, I felt everything you feel, Marcus. I know," he said. "I felt you too." The medical staff were swarming now, checking readings, administering treatments, but they were careful not to separate Marcus and Zephyra. The bonding was still active, still flowing between them. Her vital signs were stabilizing, but she wasn't out of danger yet. "The pathogen is retreating," one doctor reported, wonder in his voice. "Her immune system is rallying. Whatever Dr. Webb did, it's giving her body the strength to fight back." Kivon appeared at the bedside, his patterns blazing with colors Marcus had never seen before. "Dr. Webb, you have done what I thought impossible. You have created a true bond with a Xyrillian. This is unprecedented." "Will she survive?" Marcus asked, not taking his eyes off Zephyra. "If you maintain the connection for the next several hours, yes. The bond will sustain her until her own systems fully recover." Kivon paused. "But you should know this type of bonding is not temporary. You have linked yourself to her on a fundamental level. You will always be able to feel her, sense her, know her in ways that go beyond normal connection." "Is that supposed to scare me?" Marcus asked, tightening his hold on Zephyra. "It should." Kivon said, but there was approval in his tone. But I see it does not. The hours that followed were the longest of Marcus's life. He held Zephyra through her recovery, feeling every spike of pain, every moment of struggle as her body fought back against the pathogen. The medical team worked around them, administering carefully calibrated treatments now that her systems were stable enough to accept them. And through it all, Marcus and Zephyra remained connected. They didn't speak much. Words seemed unnecessary when they could feel each other's thoughts, each other's emotions. He learned about her childhood on Xyrillian Prime, about the weight of being a princess, about her fears and hopes for the alliance between their peoples. She learned about his life on Earth, about the losses that had driven him to space, about the loneliness he'd carried until she'd arrived on the Aetherin. They learned each other in a way that transcended species, transcended biology. The bond Kivon had spoken of wasn't just physical, it was a merging of souls. As dawn approached on the ship's artificial cycle, Zephyra's vital signs finally stabilized completely. The pathogen levels had dropped to trace amounts. Her immune system had rallied. She was going to survive. Marcus felt the immediate danger pass, felt the life force flow between them begin to stabilize and equalize. He was exhausted beyond measure, drained in ways he'd never experienced, but he'd never felt more alive. "Marcus," Zephyra said softly, her voice much stronger now, "you saved my life." "We saved each other," he corrected. "I felt you fighting, your strength, your will, that's what made this possible." She smiled, and her patterns blazed brilliant azure, lighting up the medical bay like a sunrise. "The bonding, do you regret it? Being tied to an alien princess for the rest of your life?" Marcus laughed, the sound surprising him. "Regret being connected to the most brilliant, brave, beautiful person I've ever met, not even a little. Even though I'm not human." "Especially because you're not human," Marcus said. "You've shown me that love doesn't need to be the same species to be real. That connection goes deeper than biology." Zephyra's eyes glistened with fresh tears. "My people have a saying, the heart knows no borders, no limits, no walls, it simply knows. I always thought it was just poetry. But now you know it's true," Marcus finished. She pulled him closer, and their lips met in a kiss that sent sparks of bioelectric energy dancing across both their skins. The bond between them flared, a connection that would last a lifetime, a bridge between two species built on something as simple and as profound as love. The alien princess had taken her last breath in one life and awakened to a new one in the arms of a human who had touched her and refused to let go. Outside the medical bay, the stars wheeled through space, indifferent and eternal. But inside, two hearts beat in synchrony, one human, one Xyrillian, both forever changed. The alliance between their peoples would be written in treaties and trade agreements. But the real bridge, the one that mattered most, had been built in a moment of desperate love. And it would never break.